Hello, everybody. Oh boy, the topics are in the wrong place over here.
But we're gonna make it happen. Here's what the Tuesday show topics are, as you
Hi,
can see
my
on the
name is
top
James
side.
Chen, and this is David and TuboWare. How's everybody going out there? Welcome
Everybody's
to the
everything.
Tuesday show. Okay.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody, on this Tuesday or whatever day you're watching it. Thanks for watching it. We're gonna be talking about tournament entry fees on the side, as you can see. We're gonna be talking with our guest, HellPockets. We're gonna be doing a 5-5 matchup that we have come up with ourselves, as well as one that people will vote on, and then we got our mailbags rounding things out. But let's start by talking about this first topic, and the way to get into this is to talk about the fact that some tournaments have registration just opened, and others are still open in registration. So let's get over there. James, can you please put it back to where I can see things live?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm trying to fix some stuff over here. All right.
Very good. All right, so topic begins.
What do we?
The topic has begun.
Yes, the topic has begun.
Here's what happened. CEO 2022 announced its registration, put out a whole video spiel, and previously before that had a very helpful and well thought out idea to offer CEO NFTs. Real genius work out there from the geniuses at CEO.
If you wanted to get people
it's not the one person gig.
Dude, if you wanted to get people talking about it, you got people talking about it. Let's put it that way. So, I mean, that's basically all it was, right?
Yeah. It ended up being, what was it? What did it stand for?
Nice fun tournament.
Genius.
More like not flushable turd.
Got him. Ooh. Nailed it. Anyway, here's the deets. So June 24th, 26th, CEO 2022. It's going to be back in Daytona, Florida. As you guys know, Daytona, Florida. I actually didn't mean to say that at first, and then it came out, and I was like,
it
okay,
worked. It worked.
Daytona Beach.
Daytona in Florida. So
yeah, that place real sucks. But it's going to be at the Ocean Center, which is a very nice venue. Very nice venue, in fact. Yeah. And apparently the hotel sold out almost entirely right away. Now, apparently there are some extra rooms that were still available. You can get them in some way. And then also CEO is talking with the hotel about like getting more rooms so that people could get in there still. But the initial offering was basically sold out right away. And a ton of people have already registered. In addition, Texas Showdown's registration is still going on. That will be taking place in
soon.
April. Yeah, it's only a couple of months away. I got the date right here. It is April 22 to 24 in Houston, Texas. Again, just search it on Smash GG Texas Showdown. I'm sure it'll show up there. And they got all the games that you think that you could play there. Long running tournament. Been there many times. Always had a blast.
And again,
shout out to the people who run it.
Just one of those things where Texas Showdown was always one of the big tournaments, the big four back in the pre-Street Fighter 4 days. Yeah. So it's one of those things that and the cool thing about it was the original guys who ran it are the people who run it now after having let the name go to other people for a little while. And so it's been cool to see him try to bring it back, but still hasn't quite reached that, even the level of something like a Frosty Faustings, but it's getting there for sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm very much interested in going. In addition, Winter Brawl 3D 2022 is going to be happening February 25th and 26th in sooner. Philadelphia. Yeah, that's
3D
this month. 3D, yeah. So as the name implies, a ton of 3D games. There's going to be DOA and Pokken and Caliber. In fact, Caliber 2, 4, 5, and 6. Games. Yeah.
Wait, it's the Frosties of 3D games.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It's not the first time that they've run Winter Brawl 3D.
Right.
This is I think the second or third one now. So
there's also Tekken 5, Dark Resurrection, Tekken 6, Tekken 7, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and VF5 Ultimate Showdown. So there's a lot. There's a lot. So there's a lot of stuff that is going on in the scene right now. If you want to go to a major, there's a bunch of different opportunities. And who knows? Maybe something in between those happens in Chicago or something. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not really sure. But in any case, at least 3 big events that are coming up just in the next few months.
Right. And Chicago, Rick has obviously hinted at something, right? So
what? Who? I don't know who you're talking about, but maybe
Yeah,
we'll find out in
what's
the
a
future.
Rick?
I don't know
What
who that could
breaker?
be.
Never heard of it.
Did you say Helmbreaker? Is that what you're talking about? Are we talking about
what breaker?
Marvel?
Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about here.
Okay, fantastic. So then look, these tournaments have had the same registration fees, or I should say entry fees, for quite a long time. Venue fee is something that goes up. Venue fee itself changes,
Yep.
that is to say the portion of the fee that you pay as the person attending that goes to the organizer to pay for the venue and to pay for, all the setup and hopefully to give them a little bit of
All the
money on
stuff.
top of that. Yeah, exactly. And then there's also the entry fee, and that is the fee that you pay to join the prize pot in whatever game that you enter. And it's a game by game thing. And, whoever ends up getting the prize pot basically gets paid out of those entry fees.
Right. That and any pot bonuses through any other means. But in general, if there's, depending on the size of the tournament, it'll be like top 3 payout or whatever, top 8 payout. Right. So. Exactly.
Now, some tournaments have had a little bit more expensive entry fees, but in general, most majors are still $10. And they've been $10 for a long time.
For 20 plus years.
Yeah, as long as I've been doing this.
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they started with $10 and that just seems to be what everybody expects now, right?
I was actually going to ask you, James, did it start with $10?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I mean, Evo, I think, has been $10 since the very beginning for adding to the prize pool.
Isn't Evo more than that? I thought that Evo was 20, but I could be mistaken.
They charge more nowadays, I think.
That's right.
I thought they asked about that, and I thought it was voted against that.
I know some majors charge 15 for bigger games and things like that.
Right, yeah.
But it's been what 2-3 years since I've competed in an Evo, so I don't really remember.
Right, for sure. It's kind of hard to say how things would go. One of the tournaments that does, in fact, charge more is Texas Showdown. They do $15
for the bigger games.
Only for certain games, though. Yeah, only for certain games.
Right. But so they are varying it up a little bit. So why are we talking about this? Well, the guy who runs Texas Showdown, as James mentioned, his name is Javi, and he put a tweet up that said, here's his tweet. One day we need to raise the... Oh yeah, I can cuss on the show. One day we need to raise the fucking tournament fees for games.
The what? I didn't hear it, David. Say it again.
One day we need to raise the fucking tournament fees for games. I'm going to say it again. It's been $10 for over 20 years now. He then says, I should clarify myself here. I'm talking about raising tourney fees for major tournaments only. Locals and monthlies obviously can't withstand an increase. So, the question is, should there be an increase in these entry fees?
Right. Now,
what do you think that would do? What kind of impact would that would have? Would it be a good idea?
Yeah, to address Cohn's question, there's definitely been high stakes tournaments, a lot of Marvel tournaments that are like $100 entries.
Yeah.
I think at seasons beatings, I think both you and I know at a seasons beatings at one point in time, I entered a super turbo high rollers tournament. But it's usually for the older games because they get a lot less entry fees. The players who are still playing it all really want to be the best at it, and so there's a little more fun to put at stake.
Right. Okay. So there have been tournaments that have had more money, but in terms of mass appeal majors,
the general
standard is $10.
Because here's the thing, right? The reason why it's never gone up is because really the tournament organizer doesn't care, because whatever the prize pool goes up, the entry fee goes up, that money still goes to the prize pool people, right? So it's really up to the people on what they'd prefer to pay. And so this is where the discussion starts getting interesting, because there is the thought process that everyone talks about how, oh my God, look at how little money there is in fighting games, right? Like Evo. See, that's why, it's been $10 because the Melee players haven't been getting that much money from their winnings, right? And they're always like, look, we had 2,000 entrants and the prize pool is just like, 20 grand or whatever. And so there's really not much money, blah, 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 blah. and
It's
all that.
probably been like 4 or 5 years since Melee was at Evo, to be honest.
Has
It's
it
been
been
like
that long?
quite a while at this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
well then maybe it was Ultimate that I'm talking about that
okay.
had that happen to. But you know, people always expect, oh, it's Evo, the prize pool should be $50,000 or should be $100,000, right? So you know, one, it's an optics thing. Right, so we get higher prize pool, we have better optics in order to be able to say, like, look, this is the prize pool for this game. The more money, the more impressive it seems to outsiders. Because if you say, hey, we have this tournament for $500, sponsors are like, whatever, and they won't pay. No one wants to come and sponsor your tournament, right? The other pros to raising it is that we might be able to pay more people in the tournament. All right, so maybe we don't increase the prize pool. Like if we raise the entry fee from 10 to 20, maybe it's not about bloating the top players, but also being able to pay 9 through 16. All right, so we can actually get, because I know me and David have both been proponents of pushing money as far down as possible so more people can actually earn some money. Of course, the negatives is that most people aren't going to see any of that prize money. Most people have no hopes of seeing that prize money. They're there to have fun and a good time, but you start raising the money up by $10, and yes, the entry fee is already $70 or $80, but if they want to enter 5 games for fun, that's not just $50 anymore. That's $100 to enter the game. You know, et cetera, et cetera. They're not going to see that. And you may discourage people from going. Now, I want to add that, you know, something that Keats tweeted to this as well, because I was talking to one of the people on the original thread, and Keats tweeted to me, as a tournament organizer, any small drop of entrance can hurt a tournament organizer by quite a bit. And so keeping things at lower cost, as a person who has tried to make it so that he can pay people lower out of his own pocket by adding pot bonuses, he really he knows that if you raise the price and just lose a few people, that can harm a tournament and trying to break even. Again, if he's in the chat and can clarify and make sure that I'm not misquoting him, but that's kind of the impression that I got from him. In fact, if you guys want me to, I could just read his tweet directly, so that way I don't. You guys can tell me if I'm messed up in my interpretation of it.
I saw the tweet too. That was correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it. You're accurate in your assessment of what he said.
Okay.
But I think that's where I disagree with you, James.
Okay.
You said right off the bat, TOs don't really care. Oh, yes, they do. They certainly care if they raise the entry fee to Street Fighter V to $20, and all of a sudden 70 less people attend their tournament because they're I was going to enter multiple games, but
that's not what I meant.
I don't really want to go. I know it's not really what you meant, but that's what you said. That's why I looked at you funny when that's what you opened up with. I was like, let's see where James takes this. But yeah, no, I know you didn't actually mean it unless they don't care. I get that. But yeah, no, it does. It really affects the ecosystem of who's coming in and
I guess the best
how
way
much
to say
cross-pollination there is.
Yeah, I guess the best way to put it was there's no impetus for tournament organizers to raise the price.
They're not making any money off
all else equal, if the same number of people come to an event, regardless of what the entry fee is, then the TOs are happy, right? That's not the real world. That's not actually what happens. But theoretically, like, they wouldn't care about whatever number that number is, as long as the same number of people go, right? That's kind of what you're talking about. Anyway, that's not the real world, as Brock is saying. So look, raising the pot benefits a few people. As James said, it doesn't benefit a lot of people. But I also think that it's like overestimated how much it benefits the people who do get paid. In general, you know, if it goes from $10 to $15, right, it's 50% increase, which is a lot in percentage. But in terms of how much money you are earning as the person who wins the event, it's, you know, you were able to have a nice dinner before, and now maybe you could have a real nice dinner with an alcoholic drink with it. Like,
real nice dinner.
It's not like it's categorically different. It is not like it's not a qualitatively different thing. It's a little bit more. good. I'm not opposed to that, but it's not huge. And instead, I think that the better way to go about getting more money for people who are trying to win these events and actually make money doing it is to use the fact that there are tons of people going to these events and watching these events to sell sponsorships against, and to hope that some of those people contribute to the pot, and to, use that, hopefully, this has only happened a couple of times, but I'd love to see it more, of developers or publishers putting in money to the pot, or of Twitch putting in money to the pot, or of DLC sales going to some prize pot, that kind of stuff. It's things that I'd love to see more often. And those happen not because the people who are winning the tournament get 50% more money, but because there are more people who are attending and the numbers look big and there are lots of people watching and there's eyeballs to sell against and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see it as a situation where you're going to increase the pool at smaller events, right? Like, I think we're talking about the potentially larger ones, obviously Grand Slams, if we want to call it that way, to use the tennis terms, right? Like, tennis has different tiers of tournaments, but Grand Slams and just under the Grand Slams, like the Frosty Faustings, like the Texas Showdowns, I doubt, the small major that takes place here is going to want to raise their prices because they want people to show up. But for the ones that can regularly rely upon people showing up, they might be. So it might be a little more than just a nice dinner to an even better dinner, right?
I think what's important to think about that, though, from the TO perspective, is a $20 entry fee rather than a $10, or even a $15 rather than a $10 entry fee, could mean the difference between a $125 competitor pass or a $30 spectator badge. Like that one little thing. Well, say somebody wants to enter a tournament and they're like, well, it cost me $125 to enter CEO, and then $10 more for whatever game I want to play. Now, if it's $20 more, that's over my budget. I'll just get a spectator badge. I'm not that big of a competitor. I was probably going to go 0-2, maybe 1-2. I'm there because I like fighting games, and I want to celebrate fighting games and watch them live and be at an esports event. There are lots of people who do that. So if all of a sudden, the entry fee goes up, a lot of those people go from a $125 competitor badge, they drop down to get the $30 spectator badge for the weekend. They save themselves money. TO'd lost, $80, $90. Right. That type of stuff really, really does matter, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how often. I'm sure that would happen. There's probably some marginal cases where that would happen, especially with events that get thousands of people. But I think that in general, what would happen is not so much that somebody who would compete chooses not to compete and now they're going to be spectating due to that extra $10. I think probably what's more likely is that somebody just plays the game that they think that they like the most. So, it's not uncommon now for people to enter 2 or 3 games. Some people enter more than that, and the cost to do so is not negligible, but it's, $30 or $50 or whatever it is. And if that were double that, fewer people would do that, right? And so I think what you would end up happening, or what you would end up having, is more of somebody who enters 1 game, or at most 2 games, and they're paying the TO, but they are not supporting as many prize pots as they were before. Maybe it's the case that they're that they are spending twice as much on a single prize pot. And then they're like, well, okay, I'm spending $20 on this. Previously, that $20 would have gone to 2 different games. Now I'm just going to funnel it into the 1 game, and I'm not going to enter the other one.
Right.
So I don't know what that ends up having as an effect in sort of the number of how many people enter each game, but I would suspect that it would result in fewer people entering multiple games and the prize pots actually going down as a result. Now, would they go down twice as much in order, in which case they would have less money overall than with the increase? I mean, probably not that much, but they would go down. I think that would be my expectation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just an interesting discussion over here from 16-bit in the chat, and they said that what if the reality is being top at fighting games just isn't and shouldn't be seen as a way to make a living. Maybe that isn't the way, maybe it is you do well at a tournament to gain eyes and sponsors and sponsorship deals, et cetera, et cetera. I mean,
I'll tell you what, Stephanie, you mind your business, okay? I want to play Mortal Kombat 11 until the day I die, competitively for money.
Are you me?
No, I'm not.
Look, I mean, as she knows, and as many people know, it is already basically the case that people who are making actual money playing fighting games aren't doing it because they're winning all these pots. That contributes a little bit. It
But you can
definitely
win pot?
does. In some places, yeah, I bet you can. Yeah. But instead, it's already been the case, and has long been the case, that people who are actually making money as fighting game players, as pro players, they're doing it because they have an esports team, they have a successful stream, they have a successful YouTube channel, and this is all content for that. Like, that's where the money comes from. And the
unrelated, make sure you guys check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/UltraChenTV. And tell us what you think about this as well in the comments.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's already how it is. And I mean, I do wish it was the case that it would be possible for more people to make a living doing it if they wanted to. I also think that a lot of people shouldn't be doing it as their main time gig. Right. So, kind of in between.
For me, I understand where 16-bit is coming from. My goal is to make it so people can afford it by being a competitor. I mean, that would be the nice goal. Now, again, most of these times it's not even the case. Even something, like I always think about FGC with X Games. When the X Games started getting big, you had all these skateboarders and bikers and all these guys doing these cool things, entering these X Games tournaments. I mean, they're just like us. They were still broke as hell, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
You read any article about the WNBA, and like the players in the WNBA are just working
underpaid.
Yeah, they're working jobs, when they're during the off season, and they have to pay for their own flights to get to places and all these crazy things like that. It's not easy to get to that point. However, that doesn't, like, I know it's hard to get there, but hell if I'm not going to try to get us there. Even if it's not possible, I'd still like to try my best. I mean, that's my goal, always been my goal, was to, try to get FGC popular enough so that, guys like Justin and such could make a living off of playing. But, it sucks because a lot of the times I want to see that talent, right? When you have guys who make the money just through content creation and, doing extra stuff, does it detract from their gameplay? Absolutely does, right? It can take away from their practice time or from them maintaining and getting stronger. And so I'd like to see the players to be able to focus on that. And then, like I said, if it gets to that point, that also opens up the door for a bigger industry where we have more editors and coaches and commentators and stream producers, et cetera, et cetera. Is it impossible to get there? Probably. But like I said, damn it if I'm not going to try to get us there at some point in time. So
I'm not. All you losers need to go get a
job. All right, I'll see you guys later. Killing the stream now. Don't worry about the YouTube channel. No more content.
Look, although I do think that I don't really support increasing entry fees very much. I do like that Showdown has $15 for some games. I think that's cool. I like that there's variety. And if you're somebody who wants to earn more money and you have a chance to go to an event that you think you can win, and it's between one where the entry fee is a little bit, or if it's more, that's cool. I'm glad that you have that choice. I think that that's reasonable. But I also would not want it to be the case that it's almost all just the higher entry fee. I think that it's good that there's variety.
Yeah, and it should just be different tournaments, right? Different tournaments behave different ways. I mean, it sounds like to me, if the Ultimate players are complaining about the prize pool of Smash events at EVO, they might be the ones that are willing to spend the extra tournament, especially because if Ultimate's at EVO, that's likely the only game they're entering. So for them, it's not going to affect them as much. Maybe EVO just raises Ultimate to $20 because their players are like, yeah, we're willing to do it. If that's the case, then why not? Again, it's really down to the players and their decision. We've had some people in the chat already saying, yeah, if you raise the prices, that ends me going to events and stuff, which is weird. I mean, honestly, because like you're spending a lot of money on flight and everything like that. But if you're budgeting it, any little thing can break the bank, right? I mean, if you go the difference between like, hey, this hotel room is $220 a night, and then all of a sudden it's $250 a night. I mean, yeah, you're like, oh, well, you're already planning all this money, but you're out there for 5 days. That's an extra $150. You really just don't have the budget for that, kind of thing. So if you're going from, I want to go to Evo and have fun and enter 5 different games, that's an extra $50 that if they raise it $10, and then you're just like, oh, man, I don't want to just only enter 2 or 3 now, It's just kind of,
I would say don't go to Evo or any major broke, but Lord knows I have gone to tournaments with like $7 in my pocket for the weekend.
We already have stories of people going to tournaments with no flight home, intending to win their money in a money match.
I didn't go that far,
to buy their ticket home. Okay, so that is definitely a thing.
That has definitely happened. Yeah, I mean that's not a great idea, obviously. Very clearly. So yeah, I mean I don't want to. I do want some people to be able to make money doing it.
Okay, so
I don't think it should be like something that many people reasonably expect or think is a great call for themselves. But yeah, I mean, I like that. I like the idea of that being an option for people who are really into it and for whom it can work.
Yeah, I want to address Jose's question to the chat out there where he says, any info on the financials of the majors like CEO, CB, and Evo and how profitable they are, if at all. I'm pretty sure Evo does make money. But probably not as much.
There's no pretty sure. Evo makes money.
For sure.
Probably not, even still not as much as we probably think there is.
I bet it makes like a lot of money. I mean,
it's super.
It was supporting a person. I mean, you have to think about it in the sense that it was a big enough business that it was supporting somebody doing it as their full-time job. But like, it also wasn't like making a ton of different employees rich, so it wasn't, it was making a lot of money in the context of like fighting game tournaments, but it wasn't like making a killing from a real big business context. Yeah.
But I mean, even from CEO, I know CEO jumps from making money to losing money to making money, different years. CB probably doesn't really make that much money, if any at all. The only one that we really know for sure was that when people were having discussions about TOs making bank and like they're just ripping off the people, right? 2 things to say to that. One is that John Choi was like fine and like released his entire NorCal Regionals financials and showed that he was basically getting screwed and that all of the people that helped run NCR were basically just volunteers, volunteering weeks and weeks of work to do this stuff. And 2, we want these tournaments to make money. Because then they have a reason to keep doing it and to keep putting them on. Choi absolutely didn't have to do that. So,
it's really weird to me that people would get mad that people that put in work to give them something they really love could maybe profit from that work. It's like a really weird mindset to me. I've never understood it.
I get it because I remember feeling
I don't
that
get
way.
it. Explain it to
feeling
me.
that way. Yeah, well, when I was younger and when the scene was smaller and when everybody was doing it without making money and none of us thought that there was money to be made. Sure, I remember feeling that way because I remember the first times when people did make money and I thought that was really weird. And the reason is just because it was in my head, it was like a community of friends, and it would be really weird for me to like charge my friends to do something. Why are you charging me? Like, I'm your friend. What are you doing? And I was young and I didn't really, I think, get it at the time. Now, of course, I understand that TOs are putting down huge investments, 5 to 6 to 7 figures. It really depends. Huge investments into reserving venues and into all the things that they need to do. And then hopefully they get paid down the line. But in the meantime, they are floating out there on a lot of debt. And that's a big risk to take.
And the crazy thing is, you talk to most of the, I mean, we already talked about the Genesis guys. If they canceled, oh, I'm sorry, if like Genesis canceled, they would be losing six figures, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of these TOs as well, whenever they do make money at a tournament, very rarely do they put it into their pockets. Usually that's savings to invest into the tournament next year.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that every tournament is an LLC. And the profits made at the event go into the LLC or the whoever owns the LLC. Like tournament organizers, like Rick is not taking the cash money from Evo and shoving it in his pockets and then dishing it out to people. There's an LLC that there's a parent company that takes the fucking money and then pays people out. Like it's a real business. It's not that these guys are just running off with bags of money. You know, that's not how it works, guys. These are real legit businesses.
They do pay themselves. People who earn money pay themselves. Mr. Wizard was
speaking, sure.
Yeah. Well, right, I mean, okay. What you're saying is that the business is paying them.
There's an actual There's an actual business. It's not a grift, is what I'm saying.
No, it's definitely not a grift. But yeah, I mean, Wizard he had a nice house and he was making a lot of money doing it for Evo, and I mean, he did.
I mean, he had a nice house.
Evo-shaped hot tub.
With an Evo-shaped hot tub.
Mentone, okay? I'm just going to say that much, okay?
I understand. It was in a cheaper place to live. I do understand. But, the TOs that are making money are paying themselves. But that's good. They should be doing that. And it's also true what James said, that a lot of the money does just get plowed back into the business, like any business. So.
Like any business.
Any functioning business.
I'm in the business of bringing guests on the show, so how about we bring HellPockets?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, so I guess nothing else to say then about this topic?
Nope, that was a perfect segue. Come on, man, you're killing me, James. That was lined up. Out of the park. And
bam!
But did we talk about it more?
Do it again.
Bam!
Do it again.
Do you have something else? Oh, seriously, do you have like more to add?
No,
I'm
giving you a hard time now. I'm trying to give you a hard time right now. So, all right, we're gonna go to a break, and when we come back, we're gonna.
Jam is rolling over in his grave.
Dude, if he's rolling over in his grave, I've been dead for so long, dude. Oh my god. All right, we'll be back, guys. We'll be back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tuesday show. Once again, we have a guest to bring on to the show. Last time we had him to talk about a very serious topic, but today we're going to have him talk about also a serious topic, actually. We're going to talk about his history in the FGC, his role in commentary, as well as the upcoming King of Fighters 15, and that, of course, is going to be Mr. HellPockets. Hello, how are you doing? Oh my god, look how serious he looks.
How y'all doing?
You feel like you're going to offer me a red pill or a blue pill?
I just want to say it right now, David, you never have to worry about me making money. I never make money.
Don't worry about it. I got none.
100% OG for life, baby.
Hey, You know what? Your setup says otherwise. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Right? Well, it's because he's got the flashing keyboard. He's got the lights on his D12, dude.
I built this all myself, man.
Dude, where did you get this? I like the ideas
Depot,
of those stringed lights on.
String lights. You should see the backyard, brother. Like, I just put some Christmas lights up. I'm never taking them down.
Oh, dude.
Every day is Christmas.
Oh, man.
Yes.
In the Pockets household.
Got a festive barbecue every day of the week. Let's go.
Oh, man.
So we are going to be talking about KOF, etc. But let's start by talking about how you got into playing competitively in the FGC in the first place.
So I mean, it's a bit of a long story, so I'll give you the condensed version because I feel like
give us
I probably told you guys that before, like anyway. But everybody played some kind of fighting game where I was at. Maybe like back in the 90s, it was World Warrior. That was like my
Where
first
were you at?
introduction. Oh, I gotta tell people? Like, come on, man. There's like strangers on this chat. San Francisco, California, 1992.
Picture it.
Yes.
San Francisco.
World Warrior drops at a pizza shop nearby where I live, and it was like, a little 6 or 7-year-old kid seeing a bunch of grown men gathered around an arcade cabinet for the first time in my life. And I'm like, wow, this game must be pretty sick, because I've never seen a bunch of adult men do anything in this, kind of, manner. And they're all seem to be having fun. All the adults in my life are miserable. These guys look happy.
It's interesting that you say that, because I've always talked about how I felt like Street Fighter was, since Pac-Man, one of the only games to really achieve that level of, popularity. And I think that is one of the big reasons why, is because adults were playing it more than the kids, You just didn't see that. Yeah.
I had to weasel my way into the crowd, and like, they had no mercy on me, man. Like, I didn't know what I was doing the first time, and I asked the guy, how do I do the uppercut? And he's like, oh, do a 360 on the stick. I'm like, okay. It didn't work, obviously.
Yeah.
Get this kid out of here, man. No mercy whatsoever. But that's how it got started. And then just kept rolling on into what people would call the dark ages, where I played a lot of Guilty Gear. Not competitively, obviously, but just for fun with buddies. Although I did win a Guilty Gear tournament in Minnesota.
What? Minnesota?
It was at an anime tournament, though, so I don't know if that counts.
I don't know anything
It
about
doesn't.
the story.
It doesn't, by the way.
It doesn't count. There was like nobody there. Nobody had
Pocket
to stick.
spent time here. Didn't you? Am I mistaken?
Yeah,
he spent time here.
Went to school in St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Oh,
There you
I
go.
didn't realize. Okay,
Yeah,
my
man.
bad.
Okay.
Played a little bit of rugby, too, man. It was a pretty good year.
Ooh,
I
okay.
did not know, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did I know that and you didn't?
I'm not sure.
Well,
Because I don't really care about Minnesota in general, so
Damn.
Just wait, James.
So you were playing competitive sports and video games. I mean, was this just kind of something that you like to compete in general? You're just looking for outlets for it, however it came?
I mean, I think the video games was more of a heavy involvement for me than the sports. Like, the sports was literally like, big black dudes show up to school and they're like, do you want to play football or rugby? And I'm like,
Those are your choices?
I straight up hit them with like, yo, actually, I'm here to get a study abroad scholarship to Japan. And they were like, nah, you're playing rugby, bro.
Here's your pads. Practice.
They hooked me up, and I was like, oh. But that was cool, though, because there were some cats at the school that, like, they didn't really play like that, but they liked that I had setups and that they could just come out and just play until, like, 3 a.m. and just suck. And, it was fun for them, right?
Right.
And then I get back to California, and it was around the time that KOF 11 had dropped. And my local arcade over at SF State University at Rack and Q got a hold of that cab, and a bunch of people were playing it. And this was like the first time I had really seen a lot of cats go in on King of Fighters. I had been a big fan of it for like, a long time. I never really played anybody because it was basically a one-player affair here in San Francisco. But this was the first time we had people to play with, and that's really where like that competitive streak in fighting games came. Because like I had to pay money to lose to these guys, I wasn't going to do that every week.
I mean, that's interesting, because so the first KOF you played was actually the Marvel of the KOFs, huh? So
that was my first KOF. It was 11, yeah.
So has it felt like it's been a downgrade since then, or
I'm not all right. So if you go back on some old forums, you might find some guy named Negro Ninja saying some wild shit about how they need to bring the tag system back in KOF 12. But I assure you, that is a man that had not yet seen the light. He had yet to experience the full extent of the true formula of KOF. Not that he doesn't love the tag system anymore. It's just that he's seen another side of things, and he's much more smarter and wiser for it.
I will not be asking where that nickname came from.
Yeah, no, it's the Pockets. On
Genius.
James.
Oh, man.
It's a Virtua Fighter tag.
So what got you into the greater FGC and just like that involvement and everything? Because, I mean, obviously now you're a top 8 commentator at EVO. You help with the Game Goons and all this stuff like that.
Shout out to the Game Goons, by the way.
Oh, yeah, of course. Shout out to the Game Goons. Except for that Gibby guy. That Gibby guy kind of sucks.
We'll
talk about him in a little bit.
Like, Abe is awesome, but Gibby, I don't know. Dude.
Oh, man, my brother Abe, dude. Shout out to Meta Abe. Like, before we continue with that, I definitely want to make sure to remind everybody, you mentioned that I'm a top 8 commentator at EVO, but I could not have done that without Meta Abe. that guy is probably the best co-commentator that I could ask for. And I've worked with some of the best. I've worked with you guys, you know? And we work good together.
He's great.
See, this is why I don't work with you, man. Like, you be sending me DMs and shit. I'm like, I had to
Yo, you're great. I'm talking about those guys.
Oh man.
But yeah, so without Abe, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now because I needed that guy to just bounce that energy off of, and he just meets me on the right occasion every time. So
that's awesome.
Follow Meta Abe at Meta Abe _Meta Abe on Twitter.
Also, he's really gotten into the artwork stuff too. He's been doing some amazing drawings recently as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Resident art goon, like the art that you see on my Twitter, that's him. He drew that of me. And there's a couple other ones I don't show, but they're awesome also. Cool. I bought that off of him. I bought a couple off of him, actually.
He charged you for a drawing for yourself?
Look, he's an artist, bro. Like, he can't just ask, like, hey, man, can you draw me as a Dragon Ball character?
Come on.
No, I ain't gonna pay you that.
Dude, you're giving him exposure. You're giving him exposure.
Clout. You gotta pay in clout. I need HellPockets, dog. I'll retweet that shit. You'll be famous.
Like, bro, I got like 10.6 followers. Come on, dude. 10K? You ain't getting that on your... Oh, no, man. I got it.
Like I was saying earlier, you gotta pay your friends.
For it.
That's how friendships work. You're supposed to give your friends money, just like I was saying in the last segment that we had.
Straight up, man. Just give them money for stuff that they love to do.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. All right. So look, you have been playing in the scene for a long time at this point, competitively as well as it sounds like you were playing games before that. When did you start to make the change? We were just talking about commentary. When did you start to make the change into also doing commentating?
So that was around the time that Street Fighter 4 came out. And I wasn't really a Street Fighter player. Like, I enjoy the series and everything, but I just was like I was a guy that was showing up to like gatherings saying, hey, anybody want to run some KOF 11, some Mark of the Wolves?
Got the Kyo sneaking in there, right? Anyone want to play
like
some
I got
KOF?
this setup and everything, and bring the Xbox 360. Be like, yo, I got this really bad port of Mark of the Wolves. Anybody want to play it? But yeah, that was me. And around that time, it was we started doing a lot of live streaming here in Northern California. You might remember characters like, Hans, Mr. Jared, Crack Fiend got his start out there doing that. And like what Hans and Mr. Jared wanted to do is that they wanted to like have us show up for a gathering that was basically aping the Keystone series. We used to call it Keystone Light. Called Keystone Light up in Mr. Jared's apartment. And a bunch of NorCal, they're not nobodies, but they definitely weren't like, the who's who. Not yet, at least, right? They would roll through, and we would just play Street Fighter 4 matches, and they decided that they were going to broadcast it on the internet. Now, the first time they did it, they were like, well, we got a handy cam right here, and we're running it through this capture card, and through the magic of whatever the hell's going on with Cam Twist, we're pushing it out to some unmarked URL. And 5 people are watching. And Mr. Jared had a mic say, yo, HellPockets, can you like do like the SBO commentary style? Because we were like SBO was like the big standard. You guys remember when they would start introducing live commentary to SBO, like everybody wanted that afterwards. So like we were just fooling around doing that for about a year.
True story. I think first 3 seasons of Ultra Chen Tuesday show were on Cam Twist.
Bro,
shout outs to Cam Twist.
It was the magician's secret, dude. I don't get it.
Back in the day, man.
And so the thing about that was like it kind of kept like Hans kept pushing the technology forward. Like every week he would show up with something new, and eventually we got direct feed, and then we got a real mic, and then next thing I know he's broadcasting Super NorCal regionals. Like that one year that we were running like 2 NCRs in 1 year, and he was like, I want you to commentate Super Street Fighter 4, and I'm like, dude, like I'm literally just here to drink. Like, he wasn't here for me.
Can I drink while I commentate?
That's what I asked. That's the first thing I asked him. I'm like, dude, is it cool if I bring in the beer like while we commentate? And he's like, I don't know. You got to talk to John. And I'm like, I don't really know John like that, so I'm just gonna try it out. Sidebar. Morning of competition begins. It's about 7, 8 a.m. Walk to the ballroom, and of course, doors open at 9, but we're like half an hour behind because it's NorCal FGC. It's just FGC in general, right?
Tournament standard time.
I'm Midwest, all right.
People are in line. They're pissed off. They're like in their pajamas. Some people were trying to do late registration. I walked down there with a 24 case of PBR over my shoulder saying, hold on, I got tournament staff coming through, right? And I push through the double doors, just like, man, I hope I'm not going to get caught by John Choi, the Fuzz, right? And who do I see as soon as I walk in through the door? But John Choi running late registration.
Oh,
and he gives me this look like.
I know that exact look. I can see it on his face right now.
Like he wanted to say something to me so bad, but I was like, you know what? Technically, we've never met. I'm gonna pretend like I don't know what he looks like and just walk right past him.
Yep.
Dude, we all have amazing John Choi meeting stories here.
Did you get your booze in the end? Did it all work out?
I definitely got it, bro. Like, nice. I sat it down, and then, like, my first commentary partner was, like, Magus, Andrew.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
and, like, he looked...
what's he been up to?
I'm trying to keep it cool, too, because I'm like, damn, I can't believe he didn't say nothing to me. I'm going to try to just do, like, an hour of commentary straight and, like, not really mess it up for the business, right? Andrew sits down, takes one look over to the other side of my chair. He's like, dude, how come you haven't cracked that open yet? Open that bitch up. I'm like, oh my God.
That sounds about right.
Wow. So
Andrew's never had a drink before, not once.
That's my first commentary gig, man. And like, I didn't even get paid for that. I was pro bono.
None of us got paid for that.
They all were at that time.
I didn't get paid for this guy. I didn't get paid for that one. But my next one.
Next one, dude. The next one was that was NCR X 2012. That was the next time I did commentary. KOF 13 was out. I did it for Hans because Hans is like, I want to, you're the KOF guy in NorCal. We're running, this is our show. We got to show out because everybody's over in Columbus, Ohio, over at MLG. We got to show them they made a mistake to have the same event on the same weekend as NCR. And it was a good event. It turned out okay. Yeah. And then afterwards, we're hanging out at Dragon Lounge here in San Francisco. And he takes me outside, and I'm assuming he's going to tell me I sucked, right? And he hands me like $200. And I'm like, what's this for? And he says, he's like, for commentary. I'm like, you mean that shit I did for the last two? What? No, hell no. I didn't want it, dude. I was like, dude, take that. I love doing this. And I'm just glad I'm not fired. So here. And he's like, nah, bro, I got to give it to you. Tax reasons, man, so.
Oh, that's really nice.
Dude,
yeah.
Awesome.
And at that point, I knew that was like, that's my homie for life, because he basically got me started on all this. And then after that, he's like, hey, do you want to do Evo? And I'm like, bro, I haven't not even been to Evo in 3 years, but yeah, let's do it, right?
And then you almost got yourself kicked off of Evo, but that's another
story.
That's another story.
The first year was great, though. The first year was legendary, man. Absolutely legendary.
Yeah, you've been one of the main commentators in the FGC for a long time at this point.
And just as an FYI to people, KOF 13, the 2 years that were there, were probably two of the greatest top 8s that we've had at Evo ever. And you were commentating those, and it was just epic, dude. I can only imagine the screaming that was going on. So,
oh man, I remember one specific moment where I think Mad KOF opened up the entire match with a perfect on Bala, and we blew out the mics. They peaked and they just muted themselves. They were like, nope, we're not going to take all that load.
But
oh man,
that's awesome.
Now, I want to ask if nobody else has a question. Does anybody have a question, or can I, before we jump into further along into the esports land?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about commentary, but go ahead.
Oh, you mentioned NorCal regionals and stuff like that. I've always been a fan of regional rivalries, right? And so SoCal versus NorCal, at those old NCRs and SCRs, to me, it was always HellPockets versus Luca. Talk to me about those regional rivalries and how, what your feelings on that. Because like I said, you were always one of the crowd leaders for NCR. Talk to me about rivalries and how much you feel like they drove the FGC in those times.
Oh man, it was, at first it kind of felt like, this is kind of a cherry on top kind of situation, because we were already there and we were already, talking mad trash to each other. It just happened to have an exhibition on top of it. And so what would happen is it wouldn't always just be me, but somebody would say something, and you could tell when like it was just too much. When because like everybody's saying something, right? Everybody's saying something in that crowd, but there's always one guy that says one thing, and it doesn't have to be offensive, but it gets somebody in the crowd to just do the 180 turn, like, what did you just say? And at that point, it's like, bro, we're going straight to 11 the rest of the day. And like, I'm like that, Luca's like that. It's all in good fun and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's what really got, like, people started showing up to events just so they could see guys like us just get after each other.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I've seen dudes show up to events back in the old days. These days, it's not that like uncommon because people just show up and they shop at the booths or whatever, right? But back then, it was just legit the tournaments and like the arcade shop booth, right?
Right.
And so like people that were there that weren't playing were showing up to say, man, I hope the shit talk is quality this year. You know, they would show up like,
Yeah. If you don't know, Luca is a guy in SoCal, old school player, who was very loud and hilarious, and definitely led some of the cheers in SoCal for sure.
Both Luca and HellPockets have the booming voices that carry through rooms very well. So that's why they were leaders of their.
I mean, everybody, guys,
it's our craft, dude.
Yeah. There's some skill in that, of course. It's not just about the physicality. Yeah. I'm curious. I'm always curious how people who commentate view their own commentary. So how would you describe your style of commentary? If you had to sort of distill it into just a couple of sentences, like what's your thing?
I would say, well, it's definitely morphed over time, you know.
Sure.
Like I definitely came out on the scene as that explosive guy, you know, and just always explosive. Everything's great. You know, everything's amazing. I actually kind of hate that stuff now. I look back at it and I'm like, dude, what was I thinking, you know? None of this shit's exciting. But it worked. Like, people were feeling it. I would say that these days, my style is more of a tempered explosion, you know? Like, I feel like I spend more time on the mic talking about what I know about the players and a little bit about the game too. That's not. I've always felt like, you know, me talking about the game is like if it needs to be done, it's my place to do it. But more than likely, they're going to stick me with somebody who's going to do the heavy lifting on that regard. I prefer to tell stories about the players that I know. I did a lot of that at Evo Japan, where I was just like, you know, and dude, by the way, commentator's best friend is Smash GG. Just click on players, go in their backlog, see what tournaments they won. Say, oh, got third over here at this regional where so and so is also there. What a just like, you know,
Definitely.
That's like perfect for those like on the fly situations, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to do more of that lately because one, I got to protect the voice. You know, Sajam once told me like, dude, you got to stop screaming. Blow it out. You're gonna blow it out, and then we're all gonna be robbed of your voice. And then he says, "I don't care. I hate you, but you know, I prefer you to be able to talk."
Now, you know, you were talking about, you know, commentary partners and everything like that. We had Ryan Hunter on the stream, and I talked to him about it. But one of my favorite commentary moments, of course, of all time, is the Woshige. What are you standing up for moment, which you and Ryan Hunter did, and literally blew that moment out the park. And we're kind of like the first FGC guys to show up on like ESPN, I think it was, or something like that. So
you know what? You ain't this. It's 100% correct. We were the first FGC commentators. I mean, that Seg told me this, and Seg don't lie about this, you know, because Seg was like, you know, I swear to God, Pockets, you're the first FGC commentator to ever appear on ESPN. You know? That's what he said to me.
It's a pretty good seg.
Yeah.
But I mean, how did that feel though? Like that moment being so cemented, you're like part of this moment forever. That was, like I said, like we said, on ESPN at one point.
Honestly, like it felt like, I mean, it felt cool to get on there, obviously. I'm not going to, like, you know, front like I wasn't over the moon about being included in that level of exposure, basically. But at the same time, my mind was just like, oh, there's going to be another one. There's going to be another moment like this. And I'm going to have to, like, bring it. So
You set the bar too high.
I think I did. I was like, bro, like if I have another like Moshige moment, what do I even say? Like, of course he does that. He just it's Moshige, right?
You'll figure it out when it
and
comes up.
and then it happens. You know, freaking Evo 2017 with ET versus Xiaohai and KOF 14, like the most insane comeback I've ever seen in that game. And
Don't Wake Daddy.
Don't Wake Daddy was born.
yeah, it's a good one.
Now, was that something that you
one.
like? Was that like an inside joke, or was that a spur of the moment? You know, Daimon opening his eyes thing. You know.
So that's like it's a little bit of both, honestly, because like I had been saying that shit all weekend, like all Friday. I've been like whenever Daimon did anything, it said, "Don't wake Daddy." It's on commentary, right? And like no one even picked up on it because it was not going over at all. It was a fucking lead balloon.
You just needed the right moment.
To a woman in white gloves. It was terrible, dude.
I like that you tried it. Yeah, I was saying it was like a stubborn comedian. You just kept doing it.
I was like,
someone's gonna laugh with this joke. Damn it!
And I'm just looking at, and then the best part is like I'm depressed because it's not working all day, and ET is on stage looking like his heart's about to break because Xiaohai is just putting him through the buzzsaw like for an entire 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh man, I can't take. And even Abe's just right next to me, like, dude, he could feel. It's like, dude, I can't look at this dude's face anymore. Like he just looks so sad. And I'm like, I feel it, bro. I'm just as sad as he is because I keep telling the same lame ass joke and no one's laughing. And then he finds the strength to live on, and gave me the energy to just blow it out of the park. Like, oh,
to just quadruple it down. I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
Well, it was great, dude. It turned out really, really well.
Yeah, it ended up great.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about King of Fighters, which is coming out very soon. You have been, I mean, as we were just talking about, big supporter of KOF, player of KOF, commentator of KOF, KOF 14 as well, which has been out years at this point. How do you feel about KOF 15 before you've had a chance to sit down and play it for a long time? What's your initial impression?
I mean, I'm already gonna be biased because I love KOF.
Right. Well, hey, dude, bring it. However you're feeling about it, I want to know.
As you want, dude.
Just gonna, just totally
I spend every week listening to
this.
I spend every week listening to two very biased people.
Yeah, I bet, bro. Damn.
Yeah, so, I'm your counterbalance, James.
Yeah.
Olaf is, wait, I'm over there. Just, you find yourself in the middle.
Nah, it's not.
Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's chill. So, I mean, before I preface this with, I like the KOF 14 a lot. In fact, I would say that's my favorite KOF game of all time.
Okay.
More than 13, more than 11.
Okay.
And when I saw 15 for the first time, I was like, dude, this is exactly what I wanted from 14. Like everything is just better. Everything looks pretty. And they got characters I wanted to see. And then after a long bit of wait, I got to play Terry in Beta 2. And Terry's great. He's you can't go wrong. If Terry Bogard is good in your KOF game, it's a pretty good KOF game.
That's
my
rule?
measuring stick. That's my rule.
All right.
Pockets rule, man.
So go ahead.
I think it's going to be the best KOF game of all time.
Okay.
I think it's going to be the biggest. I think it's going to be the best. Having played both of the betas, having watched tons of footage of just top-level players from around the world going at it, both in the TGS build, in the betas, it just looks like all the amazing parts of 14 just presented 300% better. And with characters that no one ever thought were going to come back, it's just, you can't lose.
I mean, even when, like, at TGS, Oda was like, yeah, we realized the biggest problem with 14 was that max mode was too powerful. Like,
That's the first thing they said.
Yeah, the fact that they were, like, acknowledging that kind of stuff is, like, kind of exciting, and I don't know.
If you're somebody who doesn't know so much about 14, hasn't been following it, but you are interested in 15, what would you say are the changes? Like, what is the improvement?
So one of the things that if you had been following KOF 14 or any other KOF, I would have to explain that max mode is an activation sub-mechanic that you can utilize for a certain amount of meter that gives you, in 14, access to EX moves for as long as the countdown bar lasts, as well as reduced price on your supers, which will end your max mode. Whereas in 15 and in 14, it cost a bar to do that. So there were people that were able to enter these modes repeatedly once they, got down to their last character. You can do it 5 times and just be a menace. And 15, they've increased the cost of max mode. It is now 2 bars to activate, and they do very different things. Just like 14, when you activate raw max mode, you get more time to utilize the tools that it provides you with. In 15, that is the same with raw activation, but you also get a damage buff just out the gate, passive. You get a damage buff that's pretty sizable too. It makes a big difference. Versus where in 14, if you activate max mode off of a canceled button like a normal, it's about cut in half, right? Same thing applies here, except you don't get that damage buff. You just get half time to use your max, and good luck. Better hope you hit them.
Yeah, 14 max mode was like the way you spent the meter. Light, max mode, and then that was it, basically.
Right, and there's some other key differences too, because in 14 when you activate max mode, it's like that's it. You're in max mode. It's a built-in mix mechanic. People just like activate max on block and then go for high low mixes, right? Because no one's reacting that quickly. In 15, they added a screen freeze to the max mode activation on quick max, which makes it a little easier to see coming, but it also makes it easier for the opponent that's activating it to decide what they're going to do and execute that plan. So it's still kind of a guessing game there, and the attacker still has more time to figure out what they're going to do, versus the person on defense also gets more time to figure out how they're going to respond to it.
So let me ask this question real quick here. What are the characters that you want to play the most? Which ones are you just happy that they're back? And which ones do you want back the most?
So I mean, it's no secret. Like the happiest I was throughout the entire promotional campaign was when they showed the Joe Higashi trailer, and I was already happy he was just back in the game, right? But then they showed this sweet thing that I can't wait to get my hands on the character and test out, but I swear to God, they better not take it out of the game. SNK, please. Apparently, one of his command normals, I don't know how it works, but if you hit them, it's like it sets up a juggle state, and he's never had something like that. I don't know if his EX Tiger Kick is anywhere juggle. If you watch the trailer for it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Where it looks like he uses a normal after launching someone, and then goes into EX Tiger Kick, and you're just like, whoa, what the hell was that? And you don't even they literally, that's all they said about him for almost an entire year. That's all they gave me. That's all I've had, and I'm just like, dude, I can't wait for this game. I just need to know how that works.
Okay. So are you just going to do Fatal Fury team then? Joe, Terry, Andy?
I mean, yeah, basically. I got Joe. Terry's godlike, right? And I played Shune in the first beta, and honestly, I'm feeling him, like he lost a lot of damage. He definitely lost a lot of damage, but his tools remain more or less the same, which is the most important thing to me. I mean, I thought his damage in 14 was bullshit. You were just like 55% for 2 bars because he touched you once. I'm like, come on, man, this guy's not even built like that. Apparently he isn't, In 15, he's like, all right, let's make it a little more realistic here. He can still do a lot of the same stuff he did in 14. It just doesn't kill you.
Now, who do you want in the game that's not announced of the 45 that we know right now?
The 45.
No. Yes.
What a launch roster. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Bro,
it's 39 and 2 DLC. 39 and 2 DLC
in
teams.
1 year. That's insane.
It's 4 DLC teams in 1 year, dude.
In 1 year. What?
So good.
Why? That's like me having my Woshige moment thinking like, dude, how do I top this? Damn. 2023 is going to be wild, baby. I do want Nelson to come back. I'm a huge Nelson fan. I'm also a Nelson man, and I think that he's one of those characters that in 14 developed. He was a late bloomer, Right, a lot of people were just not feeling Nelson out the gate, and they just never looked back. And a couple people, myself included, decided to take it upon ourselves to really crack this character open. There's a Japanese player named SR that is leagues better than me at the character that I can tell that this guy understands the character just like I do, because you ever had a moment where you play a character no one else plays, and then you see someone else do it better than you, but he's using your shit?
Yeah, I have.
And you're just like, yes! Freaking told you guys, man.
Yeah, you're right. For sure. Yeah.
Shout out to Dual Kevin.
Yeah, shout outs to the Japanese key players, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Look, there's a lot of... Oh, go on.
Anyway, that was going to say that's why I want Nelson back. And Shin Woo and Duel On, obviously. What the hell are they doing with those characters?
So there's a lot of excitement about KOF 15, and I have a feeling that people are going to be trying it out who maybe haven't looked at KOFs in the past. And I'm curious what you would say to get people to try out KOF 15. You know, if I'm somebody who's thinking about buying a new game, why should I be looking at KOF?
First, I'm going to ask you play Smash?
Yes, I play Smash. My
and you're going to love Terry Bogard, baby. He's in the game.
Terry Bogard from Smash, baby.
From Smash. He made it in King of Fighters. Who'd have thought?
You like Tekken 7, bro? They got Geese Howard coming in, baby. DLC. It's got everything, bro.
Oh, man.
No, but seriously, I think the best thing I can say is that I think KOF is a game that has a lot of characters, and the developers have taken great strides to make sure that each character brings something unique to the table. If it's insignificant, that's not their problem. They didn't say it was going to be good. They just said it would be unique. Maybe there's some overlap. Sure, there's a lot of overlap in the KOF cast, but I think there's something for everybody in this game and in every KOF game. And people always ask me, like, how do I get into this game? How do I pick a team? And I'm like, dude, in 15, you got 39 characters and 6 coming later on. Pick some characters that do what you like to do in fighting games. There's plenty to choose from. That doesn't always happen in fighting games. Sometimes you're like waiting for DLC just to say, oh, here comes this sub-mechanic. Here comes this function. And in a month, I got to pay $5 for it. But I'm hyped for it, right? In 15, you get 39 chances out the gate to figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, what do you and the Game Goons have planned for KOF 15, like content-wise here?
I'm so glad you asked that, actually. So lately, over at twitch.tv/GameGoons, we've been running KOF 14 lobbies every Thursday. We call them the Goon Sessions or the Lobby Sessions, whatever you want to nickname them. And we've just been inviting community members that have passable connections to join us and just send off KOF 14 in the very nice way. We're going to be having our last KOF 14 session this Thursday, after which we will be transitioning to KOF 15 Goon Lobby sessions and heralding in the new era of KOF. Yeah. And you can also catch the archives of such things on youtube.com/GameGoods.
Well, since you guys are going to be running lobbies, KOF 15 has a lot of interesting modes. And I think the most interesting one is the character selection, where you can X off certain characters on the select screen. So maybe if you know your opponent plays Terry, you could disable Terry from being selected. How do you feel about that mode for KOF 15 competitive play? Because from what I understand, I'm no KOF player. My closest affiliation to SNK is playing the latest Sam show. But from what I understand, at a competitive level, players generally have like 10 to 12 characters that they play. So would this work as a competitive game mode in tournament or no?
I mean, yeah, of course it'll work if it can like totally inhibit my opponent's.
Well, would it work as the main competitive mode?
I mean,
like
really
say
depends.
like League of Legends and Dota and all those MOBAs, they have a system like that, and that's how you play the game. Do you think KOF could survive on something like that? Because I think it would make it really interesting.
I've learned to never rule anything out when it comes to the KOF competitive scene. There's always someone willing to try something different in this community. A long time ago, for 13, people started running ratio tournaments, right? Where they get to put together a team that fits the ratio, because some people say we're tired of seeing top tiers, popular, the usual. Yeah,
I'm a Marvel 3 player. I know all about it, yeah.
Exactly, right? So I think in that vein, there could be a not necessarily a recognized esports league around it, but I would not be surprised if there is a draft mode rules KOF 15 side tournament that can occur offline or even online, because people have been expressing real interest in this.
Dude, once we get to 50, When we get to 51 characters, I mean, draft mode, I think, would be totally viable because you've got to have some characters left over that you want to play.
I'm actually hoping they ban some characters because I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to pick 51 characters in like 2 minutes. You know?
New DLC comes out, HellPockets is just canceling them from the draft. Like, no, don't play DLC characters, don't have them downloaded yet.
Totally ban myself, you know, like, yeah, just ban this guy. Yeah. But stuff like I think that'll find its niche. People have been expressing interest in party mode, which was something that we did have in 14, but we just, didn't utilize
what's party
it that
mode
much.
for those of us who may not know?
So party mode
David.
is this mode where 6 people get into a lobby and they each pick a character to use on a team of 3, and then they go at it on each other. So they're just like, switching in and out that way. That's something that returns in KOF 15, and with the vastly improved net play experience that we can surely expect to experience in a couple weeks. I feel like that is also a mode that's going to get it's going to get a workout.
Yeah. Sure.
Cool, man. Well, looking forward to it. I mean, the game comes out in under a week and a half at this point. It's like 9 days or something. It's pretty soon.
It comes out, I mean, it depends on if you're a season pass holder. If
That's
you're a
true,
season pass holder, you get it earlier. So
Right.
there you go.
Bro, I didn't even pre-order. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I didn't even pre-order it. I'm
Hey, man, I didn't pre-order it either.
I blew it.
No, you know why?
I didn't pre-order it either. I got non-digital ways to access video games.
You're content creator, influencer, HellPockets, right? SNK better get on the ball and get you some codes, dude.
I got the perfect scam, guys. Like, everybody loves me, right? So what I do is I just let other people make content, and I say, hey, can I just use this? This is mine. I made this now.
You're that guy in the comic.
I'm like, yeah.
You made this? I made this.
I'm going to just say a couple words over your tournament matches and say, oh, yeah, that's some good HellPockets content right here.
Yeah.
All right. So then, are you going to tell me then that the history of your nickname, not the first one you mentioned, but HellPockets here, was somebody else named HellPockets and you just completely took their name and like, it's yours now?
Oh, man, this is a rough story for me because, like, Southtown Arcade, 2011, I want to say. So around the time 13 was like RIP Southtown. You guys have been up there. I know that.
Yeah.
You guys came up for the Marvel weekend, right?
A couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times. So we're having a RAN bet on Sundays. KOF 13 is like the hot shit in Northern California. And I was Hot Pockets at the time because, and that's another story. If you watch that old Mike Ross, like Capcom Pro Talk thing, you'll definitely hear the story about that. So anyway, I'm Hot Pockets at the time, and I have a match against Hans, and I used to just beat Hans's ass every week in KOF 13. And I was like, oh, this is like about to be easy money in the top 8. No problem, right? I can't believe he's even gotten this far. Love the guy, but he's going down. And I think I don't know. Like, I for some reason, he had this aura about him that day where he was like, he just had enough, Like, he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. The lady wasn't acting right. Car was messed up. And he was just like, oh, my God, I just can't take one more disappointment. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm falling for this guy, aren't I? I'm totally about to just like let him have this. No, I can't. Like, in the middle of the match, I just kind of started just getting outside of the mindset to win and started messing around and let him have too many small victories that built up into a much larger victory and a big L for me, right? And I was pissed because I was like, wait a minute, it's over? How did that happen? I was this close to top 8 and I lost to Hans. And so I went outside and my buddy starts filming me because I'm so fucking pissed, right? I'm just like swearing at everybody. You've seen the outside of Southtown Arcade.
Yeah.
A guy walking down around there just yelling at nobody is totally normal.
Yeah.
So I'm just out there going, God, fuck yeah, never again. Oh my God, right? And he just is like, how do you feel about that, Chris? I'm all like, what the problem was? I was too nice. Hot Pockets is too nice. I got to stop being nice to these people. I don't care. I don't care if I love them. HellPockets loves nobody. And so basically HellPockets is edgelord Hot Pockets.
and Edgelord Hot Pockets has never left.
I know. Yeah.
It's been like that for a while, man. Dude, like
You still got all this purple lighting around you. You still got the hoodie up.
Yeah.
Has never left you.
I don't even know who I am anymore, man. What the hell?
Oh man, that's awesome.
Oh, dude. All right. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys do with KOF 15 and your commentary for it and you guys playing it. It's going to be a lot of fun for everybody, I'm sure.
It will be, guys. I definitely invite everybody to try the game out at least for a couple days. You know, there's going to be a bunch of new players that maybe we'll have another show, or you can come to my channel. I can tell you why the game's not hard, but there's going to be a lot of new players there. You're going to. The community's in a 100% better place to actually accept new people into the circles that exist. They're going to be helping out.
Yeah.
Data's going to be getting shared. Information's going to be everywhere. I mean, like, dude, like the content creators can't wait to just be the first ones that just crack this game open and just share all the important stuff that will help you get better at it. So you're in good hands.
And rollback net code.
Rollback net code, baby.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate it.
Peace out, guys.
Later, homie.
Good to see you.
Oh man.
All right. Always cool to hang out with him for a while.
For sure, for sure. At least I don't have to share his headphone after this, so I think that's pretty good.
Imagine how it must feel. He's got the hoodie on as well, like just adding the extra layer.
The moisture.
Oh, the moisture. Oh,
That's the real hell pocket. The cup inside the micro.
That's back to the hot
real
pockets,
HellPocket.
right? That's hot pockets right there.
It's a moist pocket.
gross. Oh man. All right. Anyway. Yeah. Shout outs to him for coming on. That was a lot of fun, of course.
Of course. Always glad
Cool.
to have
Well, let's move on to the next one. And we have a couple of topics here. The first one is just going to be one that we brought up. And then we'll get, of course, to the viewer question. But let's start off by talking about our own.
Yeah, so this is just something that I was thinking about. You know, we mentioned to HellPockets that KOF 15 is coming out, you know, this weekend. But for those of you who have pre-ordered the game, you actually get early access. I'm sorry, not pre-ordered. If you have the season pass is what it is. If you have the season pass, you can download it like 3 days early. So I think it comes out on the 11th for the season pass and the 14th for the pre-orders, or 14th for the pre-orders, some 14th for pre-orders, and then like 17th.
I believe 17th for
everybody
the
else.
real one.
Okay, there you go.
Not pre-order, season pass holders.
Season pass, sorry. Yeah. So, you know, obviously in the fighting game, you know, there's always the jokes, ban the testers, you know, who get early access to games and stuff like that. I'm just curious what you guys think of this practice, you know, to maybe bait people into buying season passes by giving it to them a little bit early. Is that kind of an unfair thing? I mean, you know, obviously it's miles and above still better than, you know, Japan getting the game 5 months before we did, you know, kind of a situation. But do you feel like that this is kind of like a unfair practice or anything like that? Or do you think this is just fine?
I think it's completely fair and totally normal. Other games and other genres have been doing this for a very long time. It's 3 days early, man. Like, a year from now or 6 months from now at Evo or whatever, you're not going to be like, oh man, you're 3 days earlier, you're going to beat me. Like, that's not how that works. So I think it's completely fine. If you want to spend the extra money or purchase something you were probably going to buy anyways as a fighting game player, you're probably going to get the season pass. Whatever, sure. Yeah, I think it's totally fine. I have no issues with it.
What I think is interesting is that people who have pre-ordered but don't have the season pass, they'll play it on the 17th. People who have pre-ordered it and have the season pass will play it on the 14th. But they're actually not doing as well as people who didn't pre-order it, but instead have their own little mom and pop shops in their own little local cities that have their own little local release dates that may or may not be even before that 14.
Yeah, but that's only if you play on console like a peasant. Us real gamers play on PC.
If you were committed
that early.
Yeah, you console player, David.
I'm going to be playing it on console, in fact. If you were committed to playing this game early, the best way to do it is to buy it from a physical spot in one of just obviously a few locations. I understand that many places don't have their little mom and pop in this way, but in LA and in other cities, yeah, I mean, we're not the only one in the world. We're not the only one in the country. In many cities, that does exist. And I'm fixing to swing by on probably Thursday. Just and get a little early action. Get a little early action, why don't you? So, in fact, there is an incentive compared to the people who don't have the season pass, but there's actually an extra incentive to not have the season pass or the pre-order in the first place.
Yeah,
for 10 people that can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with what Tubo has to say. The 3 days aren't going to make a bunch of difference. And in fact, a lot of the people who are that dedicated to get the season pass, to get it 3 days early, are probably the players who are going to be putting a lot of time into it, going to be good anyway. That 3 day head advantage isn't going to be the difference of why that they are doing better than you.
Nope.
But on top of that whole entire thing, this is like David was saying, this is just unstoppable, right? Like, I'm sure like influencer HellPockets probably, maybe we'll get a code early on or something, like people are going to manage to get an early copy, and it's just, I don't think it's really going to stop anybody from doing anything. So, I mean, I don't even think it's that big of a deal, to be honest with you. But, I was just curious to see if anybody else, because fighting games, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, look, especially 10 years ago, 3 days was like nothing. Like, we learned nothing in 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, 3 days, it can be huge.
I got my optimal setup into meaty fireball, into Oki turnaround 360 slam dunk. Yeah, it's much different.
Here's my
I would say that
I found all.
Right. I would say that the only people who get for whom this is actually a relevant separation in time are content creators. That's it. I mean, if you have 3 days early in a content creation cycle, that actually can be relevant. And if you're the kind of player who maybe like you don't want to be the best in the world, but like you want to be the first to find stuff, I know this guy, he's me. And in that case, having the game even just a couple days early is super sick actually, because then you get to put out all the tech. Then you get to be the one to be like, I found this, and now we're going to be calling it, Jokesies and Pokesies forever, because I named it that. That's my name for it.
Mamma Mia, dude. It becomes the Mamma Mia.
Exactly. You get to pick. So for those people, for those specific cases, a few days actually can make a difference. But yeah, I mean, of course, for long-term competition and for other people's purposes, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But, it matters. And like I said, I mean, I'm going to, if possible, I shouldn't say for sure, nothing. Who am I talking about? I don't know. I actually, you know what? I'm going to get the game on time just like normal, like everybody does.
Right.
Like,
No, you're not. You're a liar.
Like you should. Nobody's going to be breaking any rules.
Right.
Not on my watch. No way. No.
Says the lawyer with the Pirate Bay t-shirt.
What? I don't have one of those anymore. In public.
Question mark.
I've actually worn it so much that the it's actually like faded and you can't tell what it is anymore.
Yeah, it's like a Venice Peekaboo shirt. Rest
So
in
that
peace,
means all you have to
Peekaboo.
do, David, is just find another copy of that shirt and pilfer it, right? Because I don't think Pirate Bay would get
Just
mad.
3D print another shirt, bro.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, actually, I didn't buy it off the Pirate Bay website. I just like took their logo and had a shirt printed.
You should, yeah. I think that's what they would
did.
prefer.
It already.
That's what they would prefer.
That was what I
Yeah,
did. And I'm not making it up. Like that's how I got it because I was like,
but that
think
is
they would
100%.
might as well go all whole on this.
The 100%. That is how they would have wanted you to do it. So that's fine. Oh man. All
Anyway,
right.
no, I think this is just kind of a normal business practice at this point. The separation in terms of the ways that they actually want you to buy it and pay for it, that timing, totally normal. I don't know if anybody's really upset about it anymore. I remember people being upset about that kind of thing when it first started, but I think we're all
back
kind
in
of used to it.
2011.
Yeah, we're right.
Like,
Quite a while ago.
It's a long time ago. This has
I
been
mean,
happening.
it was back towards more of the time when we didn't really have ways to prove how good we are, with compared to other people, and so you had excuses why people were better than you. But nowadays, it's like it's so hard to have that excuse now. There's no way to just be like, well, you had this. No, it's just you suck. Like, just get.
Dude, what's gonna happen is if you're the person who gets it 3 days after somebody else, all you gotta do is look online, and there will definitely already be YouTube videos on like, here's all your characters' combos and here's their setups. You can just get right up to speed right away.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep, real easy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the viewer matchups. Again, you guys submit us the viewer matchup questions. We pick like 3 of them. You guys get to vote on which one we will answer. So, David, will you do the honors to read the questions here?
Yes, I can. Number 1. If you could put a major capital tournament in a large U.S. city that doesn't already have one, where would you put it and why? Would you have a specific theme? Number 2, with the rise of the palette swap mod for UMVC3, do you think events should look into running it at tournaments? What are the advantages and disadvantages? The trouble with PCs, number 3, the trouble with PCs for tournaments is documented. But where do you see fighting game casual play at home trending? Will PCs have more longevity than consoles? Or will consoles continue to be standard even at home? There you go. There's numbers 1, 2, and 3.
The poll has been created. You may enter !1, !2, or
Make this the bride.
!3 to give the vote there. Subscribers get to vote for multiple times, twice. That is, we have 100% going to 1 vote because we only have 1 vote right now.
Get in there. Everyone,
let's see
get
what
in
actually
here.
start adding the questions here.
Everyone, get
We have
in
only
here.
a few votes, but the trend is pretty clear so far.
Everyone, get in here. All right, what do we got?
If you want to see it over here, I mean,
What do we got? Oh, is it pretty solidly number 1 taking this thing?
one. Yeah, it looks like it's beating 3. 2 doesn't look.
Yeah,
like
that's
it's this.
GG.
Let's do it.
Want to just call it
GG.
then at this point in time?
GG no re.
GG.
Yep, I think that's it right there. Oh,
G-g.
well.
No, we called it. It's
Come
done.
on, we called it.
All right, fine. The
We
vote
give
is
them all
done.
night. They'll vote all night.
The vote
Actually,
is
even after all of that, there's still a lead for number 1. So
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay. So, if you could put a major tournament in any city that doesn't already have one, where would you put it and why? Would you have a specific theme?
okay, well, I guess I'll start.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm trying to get the thing up here.
I would put it in Los Angeles, California.
What?
What a shocker.
Well, don't you think it's wild that Los Angeles, California doesn't have a major tournament?
No, you guys
Why
don't
is it-
need anything else.
What do
You have 19 football teams, 85 basketball teams, 6 baseball franchises. You got E3. You got you don't need anything else. You're good. You're good. Okay. That's why.
You would do
Are
that
you done?
over New York? Over New York, huh?
New York
Los
City
Angeles.
doesn't have anything.
That's not true. It had Defend the North,
Yeah, it
right?
does have Defend the North.
Nope,
yeah.
that was
Damn.
in Virginia.
No, Defend the North
not-
was New York. No, Defend the North
Was it? I'm
was
pretty
Maybe-
sure that
maybe-
was Virginia.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong title, but there definitely is.
No, Defend the North
A
is
New York
exactly
tournament.
what you're thinking of.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Are
Yeah,
you sure? I thought that was in Virginia.
No, that
All
was
right.
definitely New York.
Well, Los
All right, I'll
Angeles
take your word for it.
hasn't had a major tournament in a decade, a really long time, maybe longer than that. It's really been forever. Now, there have been tournaments in other parts of Southern California, but even those haven't happened for a while at this point. SCR isn't coming back, or maybe it is, but that hasn't been announced, certainly, if it is.
Yeah, for sure.
And, what was at one point West Coast Warzone, I guess, is gone. And all the stuff
that was 10 years ago.
that wasn't 10 years ago, but anyway,
West Coast Warzone, I don't remember one past
they did do one
2012.
later than that. Yeah, but
okay.
it was a long time ago as well at this point. And anyway, I just think that's weird that this is such a big place and that's so rare that we have that. I mean, you're right that in many ways California has a lot of stuff going for it. and I'm not somebody to like complain about my state very much. I'm happy about how much stuff we have, but in this instance, it's weird that we just don't have that, and instead you got to go elsewhere to get big tournaments. We have to. I mean, we're not that far from Vegas, I guess, so we got to go to Evo. If it's like 4 hours away for us, it's farther away from San Diego. It's farther away from Northern California. But for us in LA, it's 4 or 5 hours. Even that is like not next door, right? I mean, that's the next state, and then it's across all of our state. So I just think that that's unusual. It's not what I would expect. There are tons of players here for like every game. I know why there isn't a big one, and it's because it's so expensive. Like that's the reason, obviously.
I mean, it's the same reason why New York doesn't have one either, right? So that's why NCR was in Sacramento for so many years.
Right, Sacramento, yeah. And when it was in San Francisco, it was at the college, San Francisco State, because that was easier for them to rent. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I get that it's an expensive place. This is the case, by the way, not just for Los Angeles as a major city, but also for every major city. None of the major tournaments are like in the downtown big city areas. No. And that's because it's just really super expensive. So, you think about other areas. Okay, Atlanta's a really big city. It has a big tournament. Or did, I guess. Anyway, however that's working. Philadelphia, same way. Chicago, Orlando, Houston. But none of these are like in the downtown center in where it's super, super expensive. And,
yeah.
Right.
I was going to say CEO actually is in Orlando, technically, though.
I guess Orlando is.
It is in Orlando, though. That is true.
Well, now it's in Daytona.
Oh, no, it's in Daytona. Yeah, never mind. You screwed it up, JaVailey.
Yeah, now it's in Daytona. So in all these cases, it's not like in the major area, just because it's really expensive and it's just hard to make that kind of stuff work. So I understand that, and I don't really expect there to be a major tournament like in the downtown LA core. But it would be really nice to have a SoCal tournament again. I wish that we had one, and it's been a long time.
I totally misread the question. I thought it was anywhere in the world, so I was ready to go like to the craziest place possible. But
okay, all right.
U.S.
Yeah, the Chicago tournaments are non-Chicago, of course, right? One is in the suburbs, and the other one, I think this is going to move. But it was not even in the suburbs, dude. St. Charles was not even. It's like barely a suburb of Chicago.
St. Charles is not a suburb.
It's an hour out of Chicago. I mean, it was far away. So.
Huh. Interesting.
What do you guys got?
I mean, like I said, I have to rethink my whole answer now because I was like, I can't believe David picked Los Angeles out of any place in the world. And then I was like, oh, wait, large U.S. city.
U.S. city.
Right.
You read those large us city, as in us as a people, human race, anywhere. Yeah, I got you. I'm with you, James.
Got him.
So if that's the case, then I would pick Los Angeles. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I mean, honestly, I would pick New York before Los Angeles. Because New York is such a big haven of fighting game tournaments. It would be a great way to celebrate the history of players at New York because they are some of, if not the most significant players in fighting game history. And New York, outside of Defend the North, just really doesn't have a chance to, have a lot of tournaments outside, like I said, like outside of Defend the North, and it's because it's super expensive. So, if this question was like somehow someone's funding a tournament and it's like, pick a location, then any cost, like location cost, the venue and the hotel and all that stuff, that's taken care of kind of thing. Like, then I would probably pick New York. Not only that, because I actually really like New York. I think New York is a wonderful place. I'm a city guy, and so I really appreciate New York. But again, also another thing too is that New York is just a place where there's a lot of things to do. It's a good spot for people to vacation. You can go see the Statue of Liberty. You can do all these kind of things. It's always why I've been happy that Evo is in Vegas, because people don't remember Evo at Cal Poly Pomona, where, after the tournament was done, like, let's go do something. And like literally you drive out of the campus and like trying to get to the freeway, like there's not a street light in sight. Like it is just pitch black outside of the lights of your car. Like it would be a good tournament location, have a history, and be able to put an event somewhere that I think really, really deserves it. So I would probably just pick New York for a big major open entry kind of tournament.
What's your theme? What's your event theme?
Theme?
Yeah, the question asks, what would you have a specific theme?
Oh, okay. Then the tournament would have the theme of freedom, because we're right next to the Statue of Liberty and the U.S. is free. You can interpret that however you want.
Splitting the tournament in the water. I got it. Cool. What about you, TuboWare?
Well, I think I would run a tournament in not Chicago, and I would call it Not Combo Breaker. Our theme would be like a hip hop, streetwear, kind of graffiti skater deal. We'd offer like a lot of clothing drops from the Not Combo Breaker brand.
Genius.
These are all totally original ideas, by the way.
Yeah.
I would probably partner with other TOs to make streetwear, but not quite like super nerdy streetwear. Like stuff you could wear out. Nobody would be like, "Oh, that's nerd stuff."
Interesting.
Really trendy clothing. Maybe I would do like some partnerships with like some local music people and really
like
promote my event
Yeah.
through Not Look Alive would be my online only event.
You thought a lot about this one, that's for sure.
Yeah,
That's a
like,
really interesting view on strategy to take. That's really fascinating. I wonder why nobody's thought of something like that.
Why has nobody done that?
I don't know. I feel like maybe I should open up like not GameStop and start selling used games.
King
What?
9999
People wouldn't buy or sell used games. This is crazy.
King 9999. There have been history of a couple of those. They are not good.
Of what?
Do not outdoor tournaments.
Oh yeah,
do
they're awful.
not do outdoor tournaments. It is basically the worst idea. It's what made me learn how to play a joystick on a chair, though. I'll tell you that much. So, because we were definitely in the parking overhang of an apartment complex, and I definitely could not sit on the floor at that tournament. So,
Well,
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
so your tournament is in, I don't know, where would somebody who would
Not
come up with that
Chicago.
kind of that tournament live? Maybe like Minnesota. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think about that?
It would just be not Chicago. Realistically, doesn't really matter.
That narrows it down for sure.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe the Twin Cities because it's local.
Sure. Well, if it's,
Maybe I can
it's
go to the
local,
Twin
of course.
Cities.
Of course. Yeah, look, I mean, I would love to go to the Twin Cities. I've never been up there. And I think James's perspective on this is interesting because, you're talking about going to New York and like what's the value of the city that we're going to for the tournament outside of just the tournament itself. That's definitely a good consideration. It's just really hard to make that actually happen in reality. Like, I understand we're just answering this fun question, but in reality, it's really hard to put a tournament in like a tourist area. The few that I can think of, maybe Killer Instinct World Championships in
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Yeah, it was within walking distance to the Alamo. Actually, it was really close.
Oh, cool.
It was very close.
That's
really,
cool.
really close to the like riverfront area that they have. The whole tourist trap was like right there, and so I went to go check it all out while I was on break. Actually, that was super sick. And Puerto Rico, First Attack is in like a tourist area more or less. So there are some. It's just really hard to make work.
Let's not forget about the beach.
But that's why New York works so well, though, is because the public transportation there is the transportation there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You don't have to rent a car. The times that I've been to a New York tournament, I've literally walked from like our location all the way to Times Square. I've walked to Statue of Liberty, taken the subway. That you just have a lot of good options out there, and that's what's nice. And there's a lot of cool things to see because, I mean, honestly, if you've never been to New York and you see watch the Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve and you see the ball drop, I've always wanted to go to Times Square. Statue of Liberty. I want to see the Empire State Building where Spider-Man jumps on in all the video games and stuff like that. There's a lot of cool things.
I want to know
there.
about the crazing talking about weed trucks.
I want to know who Dick Clark is.
Well, look, that was the one time that I still remember Justin's favorite story. One of my favorite Justin stories that he went into the car to the taxi in New York, And the driver asked him, was like, where do you want me to take you? And he was like, grandma's house. Like, I'm going to my grandma's house. And he's like, all right, I know a great dispensary around like this way, or I know this guy or whatever like that. Because apparently grandma's house is like a secret code for like, taxi, can you take me to place to buy weed?
Yeah, the hookup.
And Justin was like, no, I'm actually trying to get to my grandma's house.
Jeez, I looked it up because Stephanie said that Dick Clark's been dead for 10 years, and he literally has been. It was 2012 that he passed away.
But it's still called Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. It just stars Ryan Seacrest.
Really?
Now, okay. Yes. It's
Ryan
still
Seacrest
called...
hasn't died yet?
No, Ryan Seacrest. It's Ryan Seacrest. He is like the new Dick Clark, dude. Trust me. The man does not age, dude. But yeah, he is. Dick Clark passed away, but it's still called Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. So,
I guess a couple of pro tours have been in situations like that. Like,
yeah, I mean, Red Bull came here. Came here. They came to New York. Red Bull does stuff
Red
like
Bull
that.
did that. That's true. Capcom Pro Tour Finals was in San Francisco, like a real.
Those are different. Those aren't majors.
Yeah,
those are
right.
put on by either an advertising crew with Red Bull or the publisher with Capcom. That's quite a bit different.
For sure. All right. Well, there you go. Anything else on this topic?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Shall we move on to the mailbag here?
Mailbag.
All right, let's do the mailbag here. Strangely enough, we were missing a question from Investigation Code this week, but
Oh my God, where could he be?
I don't know.
Can you imagine him slacking off?
Yeah, I know, dude. Not giving us a
He's actually in the chat.
I know, I
That's
see him
true,
in
that's
there.
true,
Yeah.
yeah.
Still in the chat. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Alex Cage asks via Twitter, what's your favorite fighting game related documentary? I mean, there's not a ton of them, right? It's like everything that Bestaban has made.
There's a good number.
There's a good number, man.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, now that I think about it.
And for a long time. I mean, all the way back to Bang the Machine to I feel like every year somebody comes out with something on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite, James?
I mean, mine is Bang the Machine. Like, Bang the Machine, it's just, it's such a historical piece. I mean, obviously, as documentaries go, a little bit of it was exaggerated for dramatic effect, but at the same time, it really wasn't. But also, it's just a great indication of what that time was like. Like, to see how the fighting game community behaved over there. And of course, the crazy story about losing all the footage to 9/11 and all this other stuff. The fact that that movie even got made at all is quite something. And again, it's just, there's obviously, there's nowhere to find it. And the reason is because they can't publish it because they used a bunch of licensed music. And so basically, it's too expensive to try to publish it. They can't take the music out of it because they lost all the original footage because their office was in the Twin Towers when it went down. So they just do not have the ability to recreate that thing. No, and that's the thing, Marumari, is that if it ever happened, if it ever leaked, that would be the end of any possibility of them trying to figure out a way to make it work. There was like a couple of ways that there were potential to make it come out, and those things didn't happen. But I know that they still, would love to try to make it come out in a official manner in some way, shape.
Did you hear about? I'm sure James did, about the Beatles doc and how they had like some AI figure out how to separate all the different tracks in there.
That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking about that
for
too.
Bang the Machine, you figure out, you train some AI to figure out how to get rid of all the music in it.
No, trust me.
That wouldn't be very expensive either, right?
I mean, my manager at my last company, would tell me about these programs called like Ableton Live or something like that, which you could literally take a guitar chord and change any note in the chord. Like from an actual audio sound, like it just knows how to change it, but it would still sound like they were strumming it at the same timing with the same cadence and strength and all that stuff. But they could just change the note. It's crazy what people can do with audio these days, and it's terrifying. So,
well, what do you got? TuboWare.
Mine is Focus for sure.
Which one's Focus?
Focus is the one starring TuboWare for about 3 seconds, and then the rest of it's about Mike Ross.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah,
So,
the classic Tupperware Mike Ross collab, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but in all seriousness, even if I didn't make an appearance, it's definitely Focus. Focus. If you guys haven't seen it, it's still out there somewhere on the internet. I'm not going to tell you where. You can Google it yourself. But the Mike Ross Focus documentary it's really powerful. It goes pretty deep into his personal life. It talks of his full origin story, not a quick UltraChenTV Tuesday show origin story, but like the deep, dirty, ugly side of it. And Mike is, I mean, I consider him a friend. I love Mike Ross, and I'm a little biased because I was a big Mike Ross fan for a long time before we actually started talking and became pals. So
Sure.
yeah, I really do like Focus a lot.
Well, I guess maybe it depends on what your definitions are here, but I think my number one is the Smash Brothers, the Smash Bros doc.
The 9-hour document.
Yeah, the very
documentary.
long one. Yeah, the multi-series one. It's like 9 episodes or something, if I recall correctly. Yeah, that one was great. Really, really detailed and very interesting and very well done. I love that one. If that's not the fighting game community, from your opinion, I don't know. Whatever. I'm not hung up on that, but whatever. I would say Esteban's Killer Instinct documentary is my favorite. I really like that one as well. I think it was, yeah, really, really well done. Again, and maybe partly in the way that Brock's talking about it. Actually, also so is James, where you guys are like all biased about being so like tightly wound up with it all. Good friends of mine are involved with that, and it's cool to see them and talk with them or hear them talk about everything that went into it. And as somebody who really likes the game that ended up coming out of that, like it was very interesting to see all of that side of how it got made. So I really like that one too. But there are a lot of great ones. Like there's a lot of great documentary stuff.
Yeah, there's plenty of FGC docs if you want to get out there and find them. There is an early cut of I Got Next for people that supported via whatever Patreon was back in 2010. That is not up on the YouTube channel anymore. But I actually liked the early cut more than the final cut. There was things that were taken out in the final cut that I really liked about the original.
Interesting.
So
which one was that?
That's probably out there somewhere too.
That was the one by Ian Cofino.
Yeah, it's one by Iacofino. I Got Next had the short early cut, and then after the project was funded, he put out the final version, which has like a big time skip at the end of the first cut or whatever. So that it kind of throws me off a little bit, but still, either version, great stuff. I watch those like probably once a year. So
Dang.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
yeah, I hard nostalgia in there.
It's cool. All right, cool. Well, let's move on to the next one.
All right, so we have this question here. This is from Taffy Turnip via Discord. Is there something you struggle to share with others even though it seems like it should be easy? Example, I love sharing music, but people will not experience it with the same context that I enjoyed it. So reception can often be very lukewarm. Oops.
My answer is nope, absolutely not. I share shit with my friends all the time, whether they like it or not.
I remember that one time at Combo Breaker, you walked up to me and said, "Hey James, want to see some shit?" So I definitely know all about you. Like to enjoy sharing shit with people.
Funny follow-up story, James. Humbag at Frosty Faustings walked up to me and said that, and I said, "Hold on." And I pulled up that picture from 3 years ago, still in my phone. So anytime somebody wants to see some shit, they can
anyways, continue.
Like if I see a YouTube video or something that I think my friends might remotely somewhat enjoy, or even if they're like not interested at all, I still might just like post it in the group chat and be like, "Hey, look, this is cool." Like I don't care what the reactions are. I'm sharing it because I think it's cool, and if you don't think it's cool, you suck.
I think that I'm good with sharing things with people who I already know well and care about, etc., like with my good friends and family. But I do get this feeling pretty regularly, I think, when I'm talking with other people. And that's, I guess, because I don't want to I don't want to scare them off. I don't want to.
Yes, because you're going to bring up the War of 1329 between Morocco and whoever the fuck.
And using 7
This reaction from me,
SAT words
when you
that
a
nobody.
nerd. Yeah, using your big words with your cromulence and your that's a Pokemon. Whatever. Just we know what's coming out of your mouth.
Sure. Would I love to talk about the 1300s Battle of Kosovo? It was so important between the Ottomans
There you
and.
go.
Dude,
Yeah,
tell
sure.
people
I would love
what
to talk all about that.
your Mario Maker level was, David.
My Mario Maker level. I'm sure I've talked about that before.
The
but
Battle of Verdun, or I think it was.
It was the Battle of Verdun. Yeah, exactly. Which was a really, really big, terrible battle in World War I, and cost millions of people died at this battle over a course of months. And so I made a Mario Maker level on it. Oh my god, that was basically supposed to like relive it. And there were all these dry bones like buried under the ground, and there were thwomps that were going down so fast to try to emulate the speed of artillery shells hitting drum fire. They called it because it happened so fast, and it was really hard to get through this like wall of lead, all these bullet bills that you had to traverse. I don't know, dude. Well, anyway, I thought that was a good idea at the time. So yeah, but I mean, honestly, like I do definitely feel this sometimes, where people express like a slight interest in something that I'm interested in, and then I guess what's difficult for me is trying to gauge like what degree I should talk with them about it in, and I guess I kind of default to like just very surface level, when what I really want to do was like get into the very nitty gritty, because that's like always what I want to do. And I could do anything in between, but I just don't know where to end up on that. And I don't want to bug them. What if they get bored? What if they're not interested? With my good friends and family, I can judge that well, and like that's not as much of a problem. But for other people, yeah, I feel like I get that wrong a lot. So I do understand where Tavi's coming from in this.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, for me, I kind of gave up the fear of my freak flag, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, I'm a very introverted guy. I'm kind of, I don't like to talk about a lot of things or whatever like that. But these days, if it's like music or video games or shows or whatever like that, at this point in time, I'm just like, yeah, I play video games. I do fighting games. I love Tetris at this point because I don't know. I just fighting games is my life. That's who I am at this point in time. You know what I mean? It's such a major part of me that if, I was at a party recently and, a bunch of people there don't know anything about video games. Asked me what I do. I just sat there and talked about fighting games for like ever. And to them, it was fascinating. They actually were really interested in a lot of it, because honestly, I just have to talk about it how I see it, and they can see the passion and what I enjoy from it, and they can glean that out of there, right? So for me, I mean, like I was trying to think about it, is there anything that I tell people all the time who my favorite bands are. I tell people that my favorite movie is The Princess Bride, even if that sounds weird to some people, if they don't know the context or whatever, I don't know. I just, at this point in time, I guess, I just rather kind of have what I love be out there. So I don't know.
Well, I'm not saying that I think it's hard for me to say what I like. I think it's more just that when I do so, it can be hard for me to judge how much detail to go into. And so I think that sometimes I end up not going into as much detail as maybe the person would have found interesting. Like maybe I undergauge it, and they are uninterested because I don't explain enough, and then they're like, don't get why I care about this thing that they don't know anything about, and that I don't describe about. I don't know. It's hard for me to judge, but yeah, I mean, it's not like I don't not want to talk about it. I just am not sure like how much to get into it sometimes.
Here's this 2-hour video of throat singing from.
You can leave that one on like in the drawer forever. No one's gonna want to talk about that one, David.
I also think that it's easier for me in some ways to talk with people who are almost anonymous than it is the people in kind of like the middle level of knowing them. People who I'm good friends with, family members with, easy for me to talk about.
What's the middle level of knowing them? What's that look like for David?
Good friends and family, and then like anonymous online, and anybody who's in between is anybody else. People who I know casually.
That's a huge pool of humans.
I understand. Yeah, I know.
Wow, all right.
And so I think in those contexts where if it were like in person and somebody who like I've met a couple times, hey, like I've seen you around a couple times, I think it'd be weird for me to talk about some things, but I also would feel easy. I would feel it would be easy for me to talk about those things like on Twitter, where that same person could absolutely just be reading it, but it feels.
Well, then they're choosing to read it. You're not forcing.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
You put the information out there, they can consume it if they want.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Okay. All right.
Well, we did it.
Hey, all right. It's been video games, everybody. So, guess what? This coming weekend, some of us will have King of Fighters 15. Probably.
Maybe.
Some of us, probably. So
you could definitely have it on the 14th if you buy it and get the season pass.
Yeah, exactly. So even if you're somebody who has gone that route, wow, unbelievable. But even if you are, by the next Tuesday show, if you're interested, you'll be able to play it. So we'll, I'm sure, be talking about it next week.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's the normal show, eh?
Yeah. All right. Bam. That's the Tuesday show, everybody. Thanks for hanging.
Are we telling people to stick around for a...
Yeah, let's do a little post-show, sure.
Yeah, we can hang out.
All right, sounds good.
We're done at a early time.
Decent
Why not?
time. All right, so we're going to do a little bit more hanging out until we get to probably 8 p.m. here, which is like 20 minutes. So post-show. But for those of you watching on YouTube, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe and check out all the other awesome content that we are now generating on the channel. And so make sure you follow and subscribe and click that little bell icon, or is that Twitch? I don't know, but just follow us on all the social media.
Subscribe, smash the bell. You know how we do it. Jake Paul out. I think that's what Jake Paul says. I've never watched a Jake Paul video. I'm just imagining he says something like that.
Yo, baby, Jake Paul out. You know, kind of thing. So, all right. All right.
Later, guys.
Peace.
Bird them.
They're being birded. Can you guys not hear the bird?
I cannot hear it, no.
You guys can't hear the bird? Okay.
Can't hear the birds.
I'll figure that out.